Hello and welcome to yet another little MLP fanfic rant by me, the Archivist. And behind me you hear the Ice Cream Man. Never heard that in years. Anyway. So, this is another fanfic, rundown. Not quite as long as the last one, so this one's not going to be an hour long. I'm hoping. So let's get started. Alright, well, it kind of took me a little while to make sure I'm not, repeating myself from the last list. So if I do, I apologize. Anyway, so let's start off with something I think I may have started out with last time, called Winter Bells. This is the sequel to Past Sins. Now, I think I might have mentioned Chapter 1 about this in a previous video. And for those of you who don't, Past Sins is MLP fanfic about bringing back Nightmare Moon, and instead it creates a little foal named Nyx, and Nyx is then raised by Twilight. It's really good. Has interesting artistic padding. Describe scenery and like what things look like and how they how they make the atmosphere. Just simply walking down a hall, they put in like a whole paragraph of description of the hallway. Instead of just she walks down the hall, it's this type of hallway, the stones, the feel, how does that make the atmosphere look, and all that stuff. So it's really good. Anyway, so at the end of it, Nyx survives, and Winter Bells takes place about a year later, or later that year, I'm not entirely sure, but it's winter, and Twilight takes Nyx to go visit her family. So they're going to meet her parents, and Shining Armor and Cadence are going to show up. So just so you know, the main six do make an appearance. They play a very, very small role in this, because it's not their story. It's more of Nyx and Twilight's and Shining Armor's story. Well, it's more Twilight's family story than anything else. So they're the more prominent characters. They get the most screen time. But the main six, even though they are only in it very briefly from time to time, they do stay in character pretty well. So it doesn't feel like, it's character light or anything. It is them. They're just not in that story because it's not their story. So that's handled very well. Shining Armor is rather paranoid of Nyx because he was brainwashed, and he really didn't. Well, anyone who was brainwashed really didn't like that, so they are a little not annoyed, but like have a little awkwardness with Nyx. But it's incredibly well written. Very good stories. Twilight's parents are very well-rounded characters. They're portrayed very well, very lifelike. A lot of life has been breathed into them. Nyx is still Nyx, still acts like a little kid. They're hiding Nyx now because there's like rumors about, because Nyx was granted amnesty from the princesses, and she was put under wraps and had like spells and stuff put on her so she can look like a white. She looks white or something like that, and what's there? And it's all about family and the Heartwarming Eve production, which they're in again because apparently it was so good last year they brought them back. So yeah, it's all that taking place in the backdrop, them going out into town, and the blatant obvious showing that Princess Cadence is pregnant. I totally saw her being pregnant. Even they don't mention it until the end, but spoiler. But she is so pregnant. It's like, why wouldn't she not be pregnant by the time this story takes place? It's like they're like, what? Princess Cadence and Shining Armor are going to be practicing safe sex this entire time since their wedding? Of course not. So it was kind of obvious that, of course, like by now she's going to be pregnant, and of course she's going to, have that revelation or reveal that to everyone in this story. It just kind of like felt like, well, obviously. So when they constantly keep showing about her constantly eating and being a bit not tired, but like not having a whole lot of energy, it's like, well, duh. It's like, I don't know why she hasn't told him sooner. But Shining Armor is kind of having his own little meta crisis right now, because he's like, I have to go, meet up with a family member who brainwashed me, 8 months ago, and could have had me kill my loved ones, and I would have done it willingly, type of thing. So he's kind of, trying really hard not to like ruin the festivities because of his paranoia. The story itself is built up very well. They keep the suspense well of like these not photographers, but press and paparazzi tracking down Nix, finding the truth and everything. The ending's a bit anticlimactic. They try to shoehorn in a fight scene and some comedy in a dream sequence, because that's where the last little little fights, or the third story where it all kind of comes to a head and things get resolved. It's like, okay, kinda. I was expecting, I don't know, something a little bit more out of it, but it kind of just like deflates as like the last chapter rolls out of like, now that all that confrontation's over with, we're gonna have the party, and then things will be said and everything will be all right. And it's just like, whatever. The ending to Past Tense is actually a bit better. But, they can't all be, good dramatic endings or satisfactory endings. I guess they're allowed to deflate. But having Discord around really made the ending a lot more lively. He added a bit of mischief to it, so it was a bit of he really made it a bit more acceptable in my opinion, which is good. So I highly recommend Winter Bells. Let's see. What else is there? Oh, here's an interesting little short called "Hi There, It's Me, Fluttershy." Basically, this is like the most simplified story ever, but the thing is, it works like gangbusters. Basically, what it is, it's like found footage, where it's just like you hear recording from those old answering machines from back in the day. Where it's those tiny little cassette tapes. And it's like, leave a hi, it's me, and you leave a message after the tone. And so Fluttershy's answering machine basically is what you're listening to each individual message. And there's like 10 or 20 of them or whatever. Anyway, so it starts off with, hi, it's me, Fluttershy. I'm not home right now. Please leave a message after a beep. And it's Rainbow Dash calling, say, oh, hey, what's up? Haven't seen you in a while. And then the next one, it's so at the beginning of each message, you hear the same little message again about Fluttershy, and then the next call from Rainbow Dash is always Rainbow Dash. It's not another character, but Rainbow Dash keeps coming in and says, okay, where have you been? I can't reach you. It's been a week, and it's been a month, and then it's like, and it keeps getting like slightly longer and longer intervals between each call, and then with each call you hear about the story about how Fluttershy has gone missing. How Rainbow feels responsible for cutting out on her and not being there for her, and she doesn't know why she keeps calling. It's been 6 months, it's been a year, it's been 18 months, and then finally at the end she says, "We found you, I'm bringing you home," and this and that, and it was like, oh, and it's like 2 minutes long, but it just works so well because of the Rainbow Dash messages are just so heart-wrenching, because you could totally see somebody actually doing that. So it's just so believable. So that's what makes it such a good story. What else do I have? I have 350 years. Okay. 350 Years is a new fanfic I'm just getting into now. It's still kind of ongoing for me. It's about Twilight and Sweetie Belle. And Sweetie Belle has like a heart condition, and she's going to die. and modern medicine and magic can't help her. So Twilight decides to take her to the future where modern medicine and magic will be able to help her. So she takes her there. The time machine breaks, and they're stuck in the future. Sweetie Belle lives. She just has to live on paint thinners for a while, for her rest of her life, and that's it. And they show how like really super cool, awesome the future is, and how things are different. How Celestia is still Celestia. Talks a bit more about her history, like her backstory a little bit, which is nice. Like in the beginning, life, before you Twilight was like this. So it was like, it's like, yeah, you're basically a breeder, basically. That would have been expected of you, Twilight. To breed whenever possible. We lived out in the middle of a jungle. I was in a makeshift crappy hut, wearing full body armor. And the sages and everyone kept like going on about how if anyone sees my cutie marks, they're put to death. So to put the fear and terror in everyone. So yeah, that was life like a thousand years before you came around, Twilight. So what things were, what things are for Twilight, and then what things have become for Twilight. It was actually a very big. It was a very good little backstory, little comparison. That things change, societies change. And she's just glad it's changed for the better. Everyone's prosperous. There are very few problems left anymore. The main six have almost been lost to obscurity. The only thing that's actually commonplace, well commonly known, is only the Cutie Mark Crusaders' legacy, because it's like a department of like rehabilitation or whatever. It's like it's like the YMCA, I guess, of that world. If you want to put a close comparison to it, to help define ponies is cutie marks. So their whole legacy is rather well memorialized in society. Let's see. Everyone's still in character. Everything's good. I liked it. It's still ongoing, and hopefully I'll hear how it ends. And there's this mysterious window. It's like, I know a plot device when I see one. A window that's obscured from sight. No one was left alive to know or remembers what was on it. It's like, How much you want to bet that hidden window has a thing of Twilight coming back on it, or something like that? It's like I know you writers. It's like, don't try to set things up and fool me. You can't fool the eyes of you can't fool another one. One of your own kind. Anyway. It's a good one. Close Bonds. I don't know if I talked about this one. Close Bonds is it's like a fan-fic light, I guess. It only has like one sex scene in it. Not really sex scene. I don't think it's really graphic. It's just more of just extremely making out and stuff. It depends on your thing. It was just one scene anyway, but it totally works. It's about this guy, standard human, comes to Equestria and lives there in standard human form. He has a job. So he's been there about a year or so, and he's crashing with Rainbow, or is Rainbow... I think Rainbow's crashing with him, I think at his place. And it shows like their relationship, how it can be very rocky at times. And they're not really like super committed to each other, because they're still like in that dating thing, like nothing's been official. And she warns him that, oh yeah, in the next couple of days I'm gonna be in Astris, so I'm gonna be a little bit nutty. It's like, compared to usual, their Rainbow, it's like much more nuttier are you gonna get? And it's like, when they went into that chapter, it's like, my goodness, she just goes like off the rails nuts. Mood swings, and well, you'll listen to it. She even does the stupid chloroform thing at times to just try and get with him. And anyway, he goes to work during the midst of all this, and he goes and meets, the Cutie Mark Crusaders and starts throwing a frisbee around, and having a good time, and all of a sudden Rainbow shows up, It reminds me of that one scene from that Bill Cosby, stories what he would tell, he's on stage and stuff. It was, and we had a ball until, and Rainbow shows up and freaks out. It's like, where have you been? I've been waiting for you. You've been here the whole time. And he's like, Rainbow, chill. Chill? I'll show you, chill. Ah, and she punches him right in the face. Knocks him down. His nose bleeds a bit. He gets up. He's pissed. And he just completely ignores her after that. She tries to follow behind him. After she punched him, she realized, what have I done? And she's like walking behind him, like shamefully walking behind him and kind of pleading, like, I'm sorry. He just ignores her, goes home, slams the door in her face, and then falls asleep. Later that night, he hears her like sobbing. He goes to her and they make up and this and that, and she said that she was afraid that he was going to kick her out, and he says no, he was never going to do that. And then they kind of get into it, blah blah blah. But it's all really romantic. It's not like explicit. It's not like explicit for explicit sake. It just goes into it naturally. And there was just that one scene, and then several chapters later, it talks about them going to the beach and on a train, and talking about relationships and how they would prank each other every once in a while, and various different stuff like that, and them hanging out with all the other ponies, and it's pretty good. It's still ongoing. I'm still looking for stuff on it in case I need to read it, in case I can't find anyone reading it. But it is good. It's good. I like it and I recommend it. Let's see. The guy reading it, sometimes this happens where people read it, but they don't edit it. So it has like their commentary on it while they read it, which at times can be kind of nice. But with this guy, he tends to be mostly annoying. But less of the time, he's actually pretty dang funny and interesting. So it kind of makes it kind of more okay. So just take it as a chapter by chapter basis, or take it in stride, and depending on your sense of humor or whatever, this guy could be pretty dang funny. So I recommend him. See here, we have Through the Eyes of Another Pony. I don't think I talked about this one, but it had a revised version, which is much better than the first version. A lot less crazy talk, because the lead character kept talking weird nonsense, try to be kooky or doctorish or something like that. But anyway, this one's better, and it's about another human who comes to Equestria, but he's now in pony form. It's epic. It's things like really long, and he basically comes to Equestria. He's not a big fan, but he's like a brony, of the show, and he gets caught up in their adventures, and when he meets different members of the main six for the first time, he's like, "Oh, I'm such a big fan of yours," kind of fanboys a bit about it. It's like, and he tells them, he says compliments, goes, "In my world," he goes, "you're very popular. People love love you, Fluttershy, for your character." And he tells various different characters why. Even the marshmallow thing with Rarity, he goes, "Rarity, could you lift up your hoof?" And they float over a marshmallow. It says how there's a similarity between her hoof and a marshmallow. So there's a marshmallow, rainbow-colored marshmallow ponies. They're like, "Oh, ha ha," and how various different fandoms. He's good. Oh, and the invention of, or the real revelation of the clop fix to the main six is just hilarious when it comes up. So anyway. Princess Luna downloads his phone into her brain, and it was just like freaking hilarious. Well, that in itself is epic, but the thing is that she knows now a lot of what he knows, and more so. And so while he's asleep on this journey in the flying cart or whatever, Luna tells Twilight about clout fics and this and that, and he's like, "Oh, yeah, you know how," and he tries to like tell him, it's like, "Yeah, see, people write stories about you and they get feelings." And he says, "What do you mean about me?" It's like, "Oh," and he says, "I didn't tell her they were about her, smart guy." It's like, "Oh, well, you should have told me that part." But you know, Luna loves pranking people. You know, so he kind of dug himself or stepped into that one, which is hilarious. Hearing Twilight just freak out over that there were clout fics about her. Oh god, it's hilarious. But yeah, it's funny. All the main six are in their character. They don't play a humongously big part of the story. They're there. They're there in the action. You know, they don't contribute anything too much to the story. Like they're not pivotal, but they are there alongside. They're more like secondary characters, along with a bunch of other new characters that they've added to the story that have backstories and are a bit more like important. And Pinkie Pie is just hilarious in this because instead of being like annoying, she's actually pretty fun, especially with that spider. I still have theories of where the hell that spider took off to. I think it's still on his head, I think. Because, like, where else in the story would it be if not on Pinkie Pie's head anymore? Because she kept freaking him out because he's afraid of spiders. So she chased him all around the makeshift camp with that spider. And and even into Celestia's, like, little bedchamber or whatever. And it's like, the light! So she has, like, orbs of healing energy around her. And, like, as soon as Pinkie Pie and the spider that's on her head pop into the room to chase after him, they both bring out sunglasses to put on to chase him around the room still. That's hilarious. And then the spider disappears after that. It's like, at the end of the story, I would just love it if the spider is still on his head. At the end of the thing, like, that's where it's been this whole time. Anyway, so yeah, the basic story is that this big evil, possibly Nightmare Moonish, or what I think what was left over of Nightmare Moon, is trying to possess somebody, has various other bad guys show up, even one that's like a powerful wizard who's like a human, who came there and learned how to keep his power, and became pretty powerful. They kept trying to do stuff, and all sorts of just crazy stuff started happening. I think I'm like a couple of chapters away from the end when it finally ended. I should get back into that, but it's a really good story. Yeah, it has this romance between him, I forget what his name was. I think his pony name was called Firewall, and he has this evolving romance with Luna, which is very funny, very heartwarming, and it's just priceless. I love it. Oh yeah, and when he like, what was it? My favorite line. I text back to this guy because he lives in Germany. The guy who reads this thing, and he's Visual Pony, and so I listen to this stuff at 4 in the morning on my lunch break, and it's just hilarious. This one line, something about how the lead character is having this romance with this other male side character that they're actually trying to get along, or that he starts to like him. And he says, and then he comments kind of like breaking the fourth wall. He kind of comments like to himself, like, and if anyone takes that out of context, gets beatings everlasting. And I text that back to him, to the reader. I said something about that, about if anyone else takes what I say out of context. So I texted him back some comment on something or other, and I said, and I put in, and if anyone takes that comment out of context, they get beatings everlasting. And he wrote back and goes, that's funny. And we had a big laugh over it on the internet. It was hilarious. Okay, so moving on. Love as a Dragon. Love as a Dragon is like a one chapter short. It's about Spike. It's about Spike finding a little baby dragon, female dragon of his own age, and they pretty much have this little young romance going, and it's really nice. There's nothing. Children don't have romantic aspects of themselves, but it's very, very cute. I guess is what you want to call it. And it feels like they're falling in love, like really, really kind of not fast, but like really good. Kind of hard to explain, but it's very cute. It's very lovable, likable. It's a well-rounded story, has a beginning, middle, and end, and it just feels totally believable. It feels like an episode. It could be an aspect for the show. An avenue for it to go down. Because of him falling in love with another member of the main six or any other pony other than Rarity is kind of like pushing it, but him falling in love with another dragon, it feels a bit more believable. Like, if you're not going to go with Rarity, then go with another, dragon. So this feels like a good possibility. Oh, let's see. So yeah, it's a good little pre-teenage love story between two baby dragons. Okay, here is a good one. Oh my god. It's a one chapter, Lessons in Eternity. Now, god, okay. This kind of takes place after all of the, like, clop fics and romance fanfics between Twilight and Celestia. So this could be a sequel to about any of them, pretty much. Where, since Princess Twilight Sparkle is now an Alicorn, she lives, like, forever, like Celestia. So, after time goes on, the main six grow old and die. Twilight feels, distraught. She feels sad about all this. Celestia says you can make new friends. She made new friends, and then they died, and she feels even worse. And so, Celestia started to become more of Twilight's world. They started to fall in love or have a relationship start up if they haven't had one already. And so it basically shows that how they talk about how Twilight and Celestia talk about how everything that's kind of happened so far is basically is a talk between them in the throne room, and they're talking about their back history and everything, and that Celestia says, "Look, I love you. I love all the people that were in my life, but I love them all differently, and this and that." And he says, "Look, I wanted to be more of your world, but I didn't want to be your whole world. You barely left the castle, after a while. It's like you just stayed here, and that's not a life." And there's a lot of like hurt feelings and everything, but it's really good. It's really good how they talk about that. And and Twilight feels kind of betrayed that you told me to get out, that you didn't want me to have you in your life. He goes, but I didn't want to, keep you here in this one castle. There's a whole world out there, or whatever, however big it is. And, you couldn't just keep yourself cooped up to keep yourself from not feeling lost. You have to go out there and you have to experience all this stuff. And then they kind of poke at each other back and forth when the new assistant comes in, saying, "Oh, I learned something new. Oh, you're talking to someone. I'm gonna go now." And they kind of, Twilight says something about her, and Celestia says, "Oh, I think that's beneath you, Twilight. I thought, name calling or something like that is beneath you." And then Twilight says, "Well, it's going to imply that something was beneath Celestia." Before she was able to finish that sentence, Celestia just booms out, "Twilight," the great Cantor voice, "Twilight Sparkle, don't you dare go there. Don't you dare go there, Missy." He's saying how the new apprentice cult is like, Celestia's new love interest or whatever. It's like, "Twilight, don't you dare go there." It's like, don't you. And so that little outburst is priceless. I love it. It's really good. They kind of make up ish at the end. It really shows them, realistically, if they really went there, how they're able to how the writers are able to keep them in character. and it's really good. It's really good. It's really good. Lessons in Eternity is really good.
Oh yeah, we're better than ever.
Here we go. Heart of Scales. I still don't think if I've done this one or not. But my past video was like an hour long, and I didn't want to have to go through all of it just to see whether or not if I covered this. But anyway, Heart of Scales is really good. It's another Spike episode. About how he has this weird falling out with Rarity, because Rarity has to like keep up appearances. You know, she's that peer pressure type of character. You know, with all the upscale ponies. So Spike helps her out with her fashion, and then the nobles and all that are like, you know, passing him off as like a trained monkey, and Rarity has to kind of go with that in order to keep their not their interest, but like in their good column or whatever. Spike feels betrayed by her. I guess he runs amok because he blacks out and he wakes up and it's like, huh? It's like, why is everything on fire? And anyway, so he gets turned into a pony, I believe, by Celestia or Luna. I'm not entirely sure. He wakes up, he's a pony, he goes back, he talks to everyone, how everything was kind of shaken up by Spike's rampage and thus disappearance. He takes up a job with everyone, trying not to, like, deceive them, but he kind of wants to know, like, what they think about him. And he doesn't know how to really get back. It's also an unfinished one. I still am going to try to look for the ending someday. Yeah, it's really well written. It has a good fleshed out world. He kind of starts falling for Applejack, and his crush in pony form on Applejack is kind of a bit interesting, because everyone also is trying to, like, not meddle per se, but like watch him and everything. So it's pretty good. That's pretty much about it. It's a good story. It's a good story. Upheaval. Oh god, Upheaval. You know, when I peruse these stories and I see the words Chapter 1, I don't know how big the story could be or what it's about. So it's like, if I click this, and it's a good story, and it goes on, and then it just stops, like some of the others where they just stop, and then there's nothing for like months and months and months. It's really super annoying, because I really want to know what the heck happens next. And so I'm there on my fingers on the clicker, and I just like weighing the options. Getting into this is it really worth it? Being, you know, getting into it and then not having the rest of the story, possibly ever. And I'm weighing my options, and then it's like, click, and I started reading or having this read, and it is epic. My god, it's another visual pony reading, and it just goes. Oh my god, it goes so far out of Equestria. It goes out into the border Badlands, and how Twilight stumbles across this epic war that's been going on with all the other nations that nobody has ever known existed for like 200 years or something like that. And it goes into the backstory and characters, and the main six are actually, you know, related or connected some way to past pivotal ponies, you know, of great significance. And it just goes on with this whole thing of how there's an outer borderland that's being protected by a bunch of adult flanks, and they basically are at war, or is keeping you know, borders, you know, protected from like the wolvens and the very dragons and all the other different types. And I think it's written as a love letter or something to the military bronies, you know, for what they do, because that's all about it, you know, the military and the sacrifices they do. You know, they live in a very uncomfortable situation to protect a nation that doesn't even know that they're even there. No one at Crester knows they're out there, fighting and dying every day just to keep Equestria safe. So this big story about how various different characters are trying to take down the status quo in order to make things better. So you have to make things really super incredibly worse in order for them to be incredibly super better, or the hopes of them being super incredibly better than what they were. And it's just like, you're risking an awful lot here, kid, to make things better than the standard quo, standard quota. And it's like I don't care how smart you are, this is still a chance or a gamble, but they take, on the responsibility themselves of trying to make the world a better place by basically killing a whole lot of characters. And so yeah, the main six get caught up in the war. They fight. Everyone fights somebody eventually at some point. It's really well done. Good love stories. Good love triangles pop up here and there between one of the warriors and Twilight and Applejack, because he's kind of more in love with Twilight's brainism and bravery, but he's also kind of in love with Applejack's physical capability. So the two different aspects between mind and body, it's like we only see his inner struggle, but we see his attraction to the two. But we don't really see inside of his head too much. So other than that, it is a darn good story. I could not wait for another volume to pop up. And then it went into season 2 or something like that called Upheaval Reckoning. It's just like, my goodness, this is just really detailed and fun. At times can be a bit humorous, but it's really, really good. The fight scenes remind me of something out of Bleach. Well thought out. This isn't just fight. It's there's strategy. And believable and following. Strategy that you can follow. This. Okay, this means that. That means this. Okay, I get that. And it's really good. It's really good. Everyone's still in character. High emotions, and I love it. Let's see here. Ooh, here's a little short. Here's a good short one for you. I listened to this one and Stream Beat on the way home from work. Well, when I used to live in Cyprus, because it was like a 30-minute car ride from basically from where I work at a place called The Mouse and home, and it's about 30 minutes, and sometimes I would really start to pass out, and that's really dangerous. So I would listen to this one called White Wine, which is a rarity clop fic, and much like An Hour Alone with Rarity, it's incredibly well structured. It starts off with these two characters. This guy who, there's this I guess portal or some sort of the two worlds, the human world and the pony world, are somehow they found each other out. You can go from one to the other. I don't think the show exists in the human world, but they just found a way to go to the ponyverse, and it's like going to another nation. They have you have to have passports and stuff to get from place to another, so it's kind of difficult but not impossible. And it has this guy who was hired by Rarity in the human world to be, I forget exactly what it was that he does, but he's her partner, and I think in a gallery or something or other. And he's a business partner, and she said after 6 months or whatever, they're going to sell off the business they created, and he gets a percentage. And they have a big party and celebration, and he comes home from that and realizes, my God, that was the worst night ever. It's like, seriously, did my girlfriend really have to act like that? And she ordered a steak, for the love of God. It's like, shit. It's like, damn it. It's like she did that on purpose. It's like he was just like upset about all this. It's like, look, we're just good friends. And she had to go and act like that. It's like, and he's like just upset. He's taking his coat off and this and that, and he hears a knock at the door. And it's Rarity. She comes in and they kind of have a heart to heart about like what happened, and all that they had gone through, this and that. And it's really heartwarming, and it shows like he was down on his luck, and now he has a good fair amount of money to just kind of live pretty well until his next thing, like wherever he's going to go from here. And they're talking and this and that, and sharing moments, and a bit realizations that like he kind of likes her, because of all of what they shared, how like much better his life has become now that he's been working for her, and then there comes a knock at the door, and there's the girlfriend. She's all apologetic until she sees Rarity standing behind him, and she's all like, "Where are her clothes?" And it's like, ah, shit. Because look, they're naked most of the time anyway. And when they come here, they wear clothes pretty much on the outside, but inside they take their clothes off. And besides, I said it'd be okay. This is not a problem here. And so the girlfriend goes off and this and that. And he says, you know what? No. I'm not pulling this off. I'm not playing this game anymore. This back and forth of, this song and dance with you. We've done this before. And you know what? No, we're done. Bye. And just slams the door in her face. And he says, no, that was long overdue. I should have done that like from the beginning. And he says, why'd you even hang out with her in the first place? Well, we were in college and we were both cynical. So we kind of just, were a good match for each other. But then he says, but then I met you, and life was a lot less sucky. And they talk a bit more and more, and then, well, anyway, the title White Wine means that Rarity had gotten this wine that they had looked at back at the beginning of their business arrangement, and now at the end of it, she decides to buy it and bring it over, and they're going to share it, which they do. And night kind of takes on more of a romantic feel to it, and he says, I go home, I go back tomorrow, I would like to make this night kind of a bit more memorable, and go as far as you're willing to go. And he's all like, he's kind of like, you know what, it's like, let's do it, it's like, he's come to realize, like, he likes her that much, to appreciate her and love her that much, for her character, for everything that she does. You can imagine the rest. They go into the bedroom and blah blah blah. But it's their interactions that really sell the story as believable and likable. They have really good chemistry. Likability between the two. They make such a very cute couple. It's very sweet. It's very lovable, and it's something I would suggest to watch, listen to, watch. It's an audio drama, genius. To listen to, even if it's not on the way home from work at 6 a.m. It keeps me awake. White Wine. I recommend it. It's just the one chapter. It's all there is. That's all you really need. Much like Stream Beat and An Hour Alone with Rarity, it gets the job done. It's a good story with pop ficking in it, which makes it more adult orientated, but not like plopping for plopping's sake or anything else. It just, everything feels properly measured out, organic, and kind of feels like it needs to be there, I guess that's all there is to describe about that. Okay. Here's a good sequel for you. Mistress Do Well, Fractured Elements. Okay, I believe I covered the first part of the story before. Mistress Do Well was how Rainbow Dash gets captured by the main six, being spearheaded by Rarity, for S&M training because she's such a bad friend. The first story arc, which is like 6 episodes or whatever, is like a bit intense because, you know, we're kind of like wondering, where is this story going? It's kind of good, you know. Rarity has like kind of like convinced the other main 5 to take on this little endeavor to train Rarity, Rainbow Dash, into, you know, being trained and being a better friend. So she says, and, you know, it goes this whole thing where they torture Rainbow in various different ways, and there's all this whole S&M thing. Rarity, Rainbow Dash is not loving this at all. This is not fun for her. So this is not like, you know, she gets into it or anything. Oh no, this is torture. This is not a fun thing for her. She's not accepting this at all. But anyway, Twilight comes to her senses, frees Rainbow and Fluttershy from the evil clutches of Rarity, who's basically gone nuts at this point, mad with power or whatever. There's a slight change in the ending between the first one and this one. The ending of the first one, Rainbow stays, and the second one, Fractured Elements, is where it was rewritten by. It was not rewritten. It was written by somebody else, which tends to happen sometimes. And their ending is where Rainbow leaves. And it's really good. I think it. Oh wait, I haven't get to that part yet. So, Rainbow leaves for like a year. The main 6 split up, and they hate each other a lot for what they have done. And after about a year, Rainbow comes back, and Twilight is happy and tries to apologize immensely for what she has done. And Rainbow systematically goes to each one and tries to help out each member in trying to get over all the problems, which is a bit more realistic than any of the other previous clop fics, you know, various different sexual themes, where when you have psychological damage, it's going to take a while to get over. You have to work at this. You don't just get over it, you know, or whatever. It's going to take a while. Like I said at the end of Princess Molestia, they get over their, you know, their brutal rape scenes with, you know, Molestia at the end of the show, like, way too easy. It's like at the end of like an MLP episode where it's like, "Dear Princess Celestia, today we have learned that," and it's like, whoa, wait a minute, no. You're all gonna have like a lot of group therapy for like a good while before this starts to even come close to being okay, you know. And that's what this story does. It shows that there is major fallout from this. There's major fallout from this. I'm surprised they haven't started killing each other off, you know, committing suicide because of how what they feel, how bad they hate themselves for what they have done, you know. And so this feels a lot more realistic in that regard. That it takes time, effort, forgiveness, and everything else to make this right. Even start to get close to even heading in that direction. It takes a lot of effort. And that's what the story does. It illustrates that very well, while others do not. Such as Princess Molestia. Well, the ending, anyway. Okay, so enough on that. Double Ed. Double Ed is a CG animation. It's really good. It's a bit complicated story. It's weirdly animated. It's just a guy having fun with his CG animation studio or whatever, pretty much. So the first seasons are just like complete another uh, chaos. It's like if Discord had still taken over or something, because he just throws stuff across the room, smacks ponies with just stuff. He's just thrown out to stuff just have fun. In the first couple of seasons, basically about this guy who gets sucked through a portal into the pony world. He becomes a pony. He gets a place to live. He meets other ponies. Couple of seasons, like season or so later, he gets the ability to fly and talk. His name is Ed. He has a relationship with Sweetie Belle. It's very fun, but the first like 2 seasons or whatever, it's just the creator obviously just having fun with his work, with his not the work engine, but like the physics and this and that. It's just hilarious to watch, and it gets a bit more serious later on. But the story picks up pretty well. You'll see the contrast where it starts to settle. The surroundings start to settle down, but then the story picks up. So it's good. Oh, then they have a song in there too. They have the song episode, which is actually pretty good. So Double Ed is my recommendation for a good little running story. Okay, Life with Twilight, or My Life with Twilight, is about Twilight Sparkle coming to the human world in human form, completely naked and without any memories, into this guy's living room, where he's a bit of a fan of the show. He eventually gets her accustomed to human life and shows her a bunch of stuff. It's sort of him kind of more falling in love with Twilight, her curiosity and kindness. Still ongoing, I believe. And that's pretty much it. It's no real romance. Like, it's gonna get there. I guess it's gonna be romance near the end of the story, but we haven't really gotten there yet. It's just him kind of more coming to the realization that he likes her a lot. And he doesn't know what to do or how to send her back, or I guess they're gonna get to the point where he's gonna want to express if he wants to send her back or wants her to go back. Okay. The next is Playing with My Heart. It's a Vinyl and Octavia story where Octi gets conked in the head by a falling a stage light and is put into a coma. Vinyl goes to her bedside and basically stays with her for like months on end without really leaving her side, and regretting that she has put her career above her relationship with Octi, and how she's now committed to keeping care of Octi for the rest of her life. It feels very real. It has a lot of real emotions. There's no real comedy to it, not really. It's a straight up drama, and it's really, really good. It's still ongoing as well. I just recently got into it. It has what's that one pony that not Coco Chanel. I forget what her name is, but it's that big fancy show pony that had Rarity make those dresses for in the episode a horse and pony show. And yeah, she pops up and becomes a reoccurring character in the later chapters to help out Vinyl with various different things. So she's just there as a good friend. It's really good. I recommend it. It's fairly straightforward. Hope it ends well. Next and final is Running From Myself. I can't remember if I put this one in the last video or not. I'm not too sure. But it's really super good. So much so, it's probably worth mentioning twice. So here goes. It's Twilight meets up, goes out on night in the town, like to a restaurant with some of her friends, and she comes across some old acquaintances from her Canterlot days as Celestia's student, like directly, working under her. And they meet up and they said, "Oh, Twilight, how are you been?" and blah blah blah. And Twilight is having an anxiety attack over this, and she's all like, like really trying to keep her composure. All this, like, geez, Twilight, like what's going on here? What the reader is thinking, because Twilight's like just freaking out. And later, we as the story goes, we find that Twilight was severely bullied as a student when she was younger because she was smart and isolated and everything, and everyone kept throwing books at her, and it was very hurtful for her and everything else. And it very much illustrates the psyche of a possible backstory psyche for Twilight, and it's really good. It goes to this whole thing of perspective and what to do with being bullied as a child. That's how it feels. Anyway, but yeah, Twilight's bullying feels real. It feels organic. Her reactions, her insights, and self diagnosis and realizations is really, really good. And I get to the end of this thing, and it's like the last paragraph or whatever is being read, and it goes back to it ends up with Twilight, her obsessive compulsivisms and all that, how it comes to bullying, how it all ties in together, and it's like, okay, I'll believe that. And then it goes from her to Celestia, and Celestia's all like reading Twilight's, dear Princess Celestia, little letter, and then she pulls out of the drawer an older letter written to, a magazine company, saying, could you, our place is really good for having pictures taken. It looks really nice right now. Maybe I suggest you could come by and take some pictures and stuff for your magazine this month. Those really good photographers, so-and-so and so-and-so, who just so happened to be the bullies that Twilight, that bullied Twilight when they were younger. And she puts down, says, oh, and the restaurant that they were at, where they met at the beginning of the story, is rather good. I recommend it, for you guys to dine at for the next couple days while you're in town, because I hear it's really good, or it is really good. So she puts in those recommendations, and I just think to myself, holy, you hear about Celestia being called, trolling Twilight and call her Trollestia, but it's like, I heard about that, but I never really accepted it 100% or really bought into that. It was not until this moment did I hear that conspiracy plan, did I accept that she never earned that title of Trollestia until just now. So that is just, I was like, oh my, the ultimate play on Twilight. It's but she says it had to be done, for Twilight's psyche, and it had, the necessariness of it all. And it's like, oh, that just got me right there. This master manipulator thing, and it's just and then it ends that's a good story. That's a good story right there. It's another. Well, I did want this to go on for an hour, but I guess it has. Anyway, so yeah, those are all the stories I've been watching and reading for the past year or so, since the last video has been put up. So I highly recommend these. They're good, and if I repeat myself, I'm sorry. And I hope you find these stories as enjoyable as I have. Alrighty, So take care, and if you have any recommendations for any fanfics or clop fics you like that you think I would like, just put them down in the description below, and I'll check them out. All right. So take care, and as always,